into our next topic, which is which players are clear early September sells. So you talked about Zach Wilson. We talked about Davis Mills. Anybody else that kind of fits that category? We talked about Travis Etienne. Are we looking at all position players here, or are there any quarterbacks that you would put up there at the early September sells?
Yeah, so we talked about Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, even flipping them at the beginning of the season. Even Mac Jones. Like honestly, I'm not looking at any of these guys long term right now. I'm looking at to sell all of them in at the beginning of the season on that preseason hype and beginning of the season hype because I'd rather sell now. I think I can sell now for a profit with some scarcity built around their rookie card product because it's been released so late. And plus, we just haven't seen much play from a lot of these guys, and we got all these new weapons for them and new coaching and all this. I'd rather sell them all like heading into September and then potentially buy back in November. And that's kind of the strategy I'm looking at. There are some skill position guys that I would sell in September that are incredibly hyped up right now. Leading the way is Naji Harris for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know you and I may differ on this one a little bit, but I love Naji Harris. He was an absolute stud at Alabama. Obviously, first-round draft pick to the Steelers, and they have this huge market, huge fan base, and he had over 300 carries last year, had over 1,600 yards from scrimmage. He was number 2 in the league in targets, number 1 in opportunities. I mean, like several different opportunity metrics. But the problem I have with it is their offensive line. Last year, among run blocking efficiency from running backs, he ranked 80th. Their offensive line, after the improvements they made this offseason, which wasn't a lot, they just did some shuffling around and stuff. They're still ranked 30th out of 32 teams heading into 2022. So this gives me a lot of concern. This started to wear down on Najee Harris towards the end of the season, and where he almost got really badly hurt. I mean, it's just he was, when you're playing, especially now when you have Mitch Trubisky, who doesn't have a ton of NFL experience, and you have Kenny Pickett, who's a rookie, and either one of those guys could start. Looks like it's probably going to be Trubisky to start, but I get really nervous about Najee either getting hurt, but you can't project for injuries. But I just think his efficiency numbers were so bad last year. And the matchup for them coming out of the gate is the Bengals away, the Patriots at home, and then the Browns away. And so I think you want to flip. I think the Steelers are going to have a rough year. And I think you want to flip Najee heading into the season.
Yeah, it sounds like the general theory is like liquidate in September on the hype and then put yourself in a position where you've got some cash to reinvest when the prices go down in November. Or not even that the price, it's not even so much the pricing going down, but it's more of like now we know what the landscape is going to look like for the playoffs a little bit more. Like we have our sample size of data for the season is actually something that we can work with. Whereas like we all know from playing fantasy football and being NFL fans for so long, like we all think that something's going to happen heading into the season. And then by week 4, it's like a totally different picture. So just in general, I like the philosophy of let's get rid of everything that's maybe not, clearly a long-term hold. And then
Exactly.
let's right. And that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously Tom Brady, you're holding him for the playoffs and another Super Bowl. Or Russell Wilson, yeah, I'm not trying to flip him in September unless somebody's just going to pry it out of my hands for an outrageous sum of money. Mahomes or even Herbert and Burrow, you're holding them to the playoffs. But if you're like holding Tua or even Jalen Hurts or any of these rookie quarterbacks from last year, I'm trying to flip all of them because none of them are like proven elite QBs in the league yet. Until they're proven elite QBs, then I'm trying to even Josh Allen. Like I would be flipping him just after the playoff tragedies that they've had. I'm trying to flip him heading into the season as well.
Great call. I think that could be the call of the show. Like sell Josh Allen before the season starts because there's so much hype and there's just it's just slim chances. I know that the Vegas has odds and things like that, but I just think it's it's slim chances that Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl, and so why not sell him now on all the hype, and then you can buy back in. I mean, if you really think, you might even be able to put yourself in a position where you can buy back in at a bigger card for less money in November, so why not do that? All right, let's get to Toa's question here. So he wants to know about Tony Pollard. Is he a sneaky play? Zeke is slowing down, and Pollard has been eating into his play time more and more.
It's very true. And he's actually one of the receiving weapons that I didn't mention when we're talking about Dallas receivers. They've been using him more in the slot, and they're talking about moving him a lot more into the slot. He did that last year, and I think they could utilize him more. I think the Dallas's defense is going to regress back to the norm. They were scoring touchdowns at an insane rate last year. That was not normal. I expect them to regress a little bit. There's going to be a tougher schedule for Dallas this year. It's going to be more shootout games. You don't have the best coach in Mike McCarthy, but he's going to let them throw the ball a lot. They're going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to be forced to throw the ball a lot, and Dak can throw the ball a lot. And I think Tony Pollard is incredibly explosive, and he's in his prime right now. He's not like a bell cow type running back. Like Zeke is obviously still on this huge bloated contract, and so he's going to get his carries. Like Zeke is going to get 200 carries if he's healthy. And Zeke is surprisingly still not too old for his draft. He's still in like 27. So he's like around the same age as Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon and Leonard Fournette from 2017. So I think that Zeke is still going to get his workload as long as he's healthy. But Pollard is the guy that could break off a 75-yard run out of nowhere. He's also going to get the receiving work. Just talk about primetime scenarios, the market size. If you can sneak in some Tony Pollard deals that are, that 2019 rookie ticket auto is an incredible design with that big team logo on it. If you could sneak those in for like $30 or something, that's a fantastic card. There's a lot of scarcity built into that card, and you could easily, I could see flip those at some point this season. Like he's a guy I wouldn't be concerned about flipping week one. I'd be like just holding him for a spike week down the stretch. At any given point, he could go off, and then all of a sudden, you see people reaching for his cards. Or if Zeke were to get hurt, now all of a sudden you're going to see an immediate demand spike for his cards.
Yeah, he's not a bad buy and hold and have some fun with in those situations. I always like to, in your sports card investment portfolio, Kendall and I talk about this a lot, leaving room for just kind of some fun plays where in football, all it takes is an injury, right? So I'm glad you brought that up. All it takes is an injury. So, we saw what Mike White last year fill in for Zach Wilson. Obviously that's the quarterback position, so that's different than a running back, but hey, if there's a clear like Chester Taylor, I'm dating myself in fantasy, but if there's a clear Chester Taylor behind Adrian Peterson, for example, a guy who's already performed or has shown flashes, and all it takes is one injury to have the guy go down, and then you've got the number one bell cow back there. I always like those fun plays, especially for football cards.
Yeah, that's Pollard to Zeke. That's Alexander Madison to Dalvin Cook. You have a few of those situations. That's Radre Stevenson on the New England Patriots is one 2021 rookie running back we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about him. I'm glad you brought him up. I actually was going to ask you what you think of Radre Stevenson as a play.
He's like a bowling ball, man. I mean, he's a smaller guy, but his BMI is like 90th percentile. So he's incredibly thick. So he could emerge. Like he's been getting a lot more work. He showed to be good in receiving game. He broke off some big runs. He had a 94th percentile yards per carry at Oklahoma. He had also had the fourth best juke rate in 2021. So talking about missed tackles per carry. And right now his silvers are $5 or less. His optic rookie ticket autos are $30. And he did not get a short print photo variation of the Silver Prism because of that draft capital. What I found is that Panini kind of cut off after the third round of draft selections in the NFL. They stopped giving that second photo variation.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm gonna dig into Ramondre, see what I can find.
He's another spike week guy. he's another spike week guy because did they draft 2 more running backs this year? They did, but they like to run the ball. There's a lot of volatility, injury risk at the position, and Radre could go off any given game, and the fan base for the Patriots is massive, so you can get in on him dirt cheap, and he's so young that once he becomes a household name, from a spike week, that's when you flip it.
Is he the next LeGarrette Blount? It could be the guy.
Yeah, but from a thickness standpoint, could be, but Ramadre's like 5'10", and LeGarrette Blount was like 6'2", so.
Gotcha. So these are the kind of cards that I might look for at the National, for example, because I've never been to the National, but I'm going, and I have to believe that as I'm going around, there's going to be some $5 boxes, some dollar boxes, and I have to believe that a guy like Radre Stevenson, rookie ticket auto, would be in a $5 box somewhere. And so, I might just look for those and then report back. We got our very own Kendall Mckee. What's up, Kendall? He is showing up as Facebook user, but I know it's him because I went to our sports card strategy group on Facebook, and I see that Kendall Mckee is the one saying, "Fellas!" ! Good to see you, my man. We miss you. We wish you were on the show, but it's probably good that you're not because Andy's bringing it way too strong for both of us right now. All right, Andy, last topic of the show.